Sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
You can just give us an introduction about what we're going to be hearing about tonight.
Okay. Just as I get a few things here. Oh, where did they? I'm sorry. There we go.
So I'll make you guys all jealous, and here's my new iPad Pro, the 10 point whatever.
Oh, oh, oh.
That's what I'm doing while I'm watching you. I'm setting it up.
So I've turned absolutely green. That's just not fair, Lori. Okay. Hopefully that's starting up. What I presented to Andrew was I was going to take a look at using CloudKit for doing some persistent stuff. They've added database features to CloudKit a couple of iOS versions ago. And from looking at some people using it, it doesn't appear to be all that bad. So I want to bring it in a RubyMotion context to see how that would, what was necessary for us to do it. Like so many things that are done in iOS or in the Apple world, they've deeply ingrained a bunch of stuff into Xcode. And I think the trick is figuring out how to take those Xcode things into something that we can use outside of Xcode, or how we need to use it together in order to get to where we're doing. Finding the code examples usually isn't all that hard. And you can do some conversions and normally get something up and running for the most part. It's translating those other bits, as it were, so that you could use them. You know what you need to do to get the stuff up and rolling. That's the stuff that I found in using core data, in doing things with the screens and so forth like that. It's usually a matter of figuring out what you need to get set up and where you need to go. So I'm going to walk you through the process that I've been going through for doing most of this. And I'll take you to where I'm at, and we'll see about maybe playing with it a little bit to see if we can get it to go further. Okay? Yes, I have Xcode up here. Because in order to figure out what was going on, I had to start somewhere. And the examples that I've seen of using CloudKit, they're using the capabilities under Xcode. And so I took a start there to see what was necessary to be defined. Okay, so I created a little sample project. I've actually been using Ben Shearman's, I think that's how you say his name, NS Screencasts stuff on doing CloudKit, and then using that as a guide with how I've been trying to move forward, right? So I started with this one. Andrew, did you need to break in or no? Okay.
No, I was just waving to Eli, who just walked in.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you were raising your hand to get my attention or something. So I went into Xcode. I created just a shell project, and then I enabled the iCloud to do the CloudKit because I needed to see what it would do, right, or what it was set up. And really, the reason for that is right here. Is that too small? I'll see if I can make that.
Yeah, it's too small. It's really to see.
I'm on my 27-inch monitor, so it's a little bit
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, there we go. So you know, I started the project, and then it creates an entitlements file, and so I went in to the entitlements file and took a look at what it created. Of course, a bunch of the stuff is populated at build time, which isn't always helpful, but it did create some other things as well, right? So the two significant things that I saw were the iCloud container identifiers and the iCloud services. Okay, so I figured out that I'd need to have entitlements for these things. The Ubiquity KV store is because I left the key value storage clicked in the capabilities. So having got that done, the next thing was to see what it did. When you created, I'm going to move that over so that we can see a little bit both. When you create a CloudKit thing, it takes your application and then does the reverse DNS thing, and it puts iCloud in the front of it, and it actually creates a container for you within Xcode, right? This is part of the easy stuff that Xcode accomplishes for you. Then you can click on this CloudKit dashboard and you can get to the dashboard. Of course, you can also get there.
Can you tell us a little bit about what that container is? Like, what is it that you're trying to do here? Okay,
so the container is a cloud database that you can access. I'm really thinking of it right now as almost core data in the cloud that they provide for you. Okay, with CloudKit, each container has a couple of things. There's a public area, and then there's private areas. And so when you create an application that uses CloudKit, your users can have access to this public area, and you as the developer can access this public area as well. But each of your individual users actually has their own private database area where they can store their personal data. So, you know, whatever it is that they wish to store, you know, they can push up there and it's theirs and it's only theirs, and your application can bring it down. And you can't see it as the developer. You don't have access to that. That's part of the Apple privacy thing. But it creates this container area, and that's how it's indexed for it to use. Now, with the CloudKit container, you can access this from, of course, Mac applications, from individual iOS applications, and there's also a web interface to it as well. So that you can actually write web applications that'll go in and access it as well if you need to do this. I haven't been exploring with any of that stuff. I'm you know, just getting off with up off the ground with getting it going. Okay. If you go onto your developer account, now part of the thing about using CloudKit and creating the CloudKit containers is you actually have to have a paid developer account. Okay, so you can't do this with the free developer account. When you go to your developer account, I'm trying to see here. I'm not showing anything private in this. This is mine and my company's. Kenna Software is my personal company. I have an iOS account, and so I went in there to create the container. I went in there to look and see what was there after I had done the initial setup, right? So when you click this and you entered in the name, it actually would go and it creates the container for you, Xcode, you know, being helpful as it is. So of course, unless you want to use Xcode to do all this pre-initialization stuff, the question is how do you get one? And actually in the iCloud containers, when you come here, yeah, if you click on the certificates, identifiers, and profiles that you have on your Apple developer account, you can go to iCloud containers. I was doing some testing and it created another one. on a different device. And you get this list. Fortunately, you can create your container here all on your own. So you put in the description, and you can put in your reverse DNS and everything. It has to start with iCloud. All right, they do that for you. And I don't think it allows anything other than dots in the name. So you can't use a dash or anything like that.
Andy, can you zoom in your browser a little bit?
Can I, sorry?
Can you make your font a little bigger in your browser, like
Sure.
Command plus?
How's that? Okay? Okay. So I entered the text into it, and I hit the register, and then I've just added myself another CloudKit container, right? Another sample container. So this ID is what's referred to in the entitlements file. So I figured, okay, I'm good with it so far, right? You know, I've got I can build the container here. And for the Milage CloudKit app that I'm working on, and I've got this into a public repository. Okay, so it's Stechishin / milage-CloudKit. I'll send you the full URL of the public GitHub repository so that we can have access to it. What I've got so far is I've got a base application that's in there right now, which just does mileage logging, right? It allows you to enter start and stops for mileage and records the date. I just want to do something simple. And so I wanted to take the basic app and then convert it so that I was actually storing all that data into CloudKit so that I can pull it out with, you know, other applications or anything like that, right? That sort of idea. So I wanted to provide something as a base. So this allows you to define it. Once you've defined it, you can access things in the CloudKit. Sorry. In the CloudKit interface. Let me stretch this out and make this a little bit bigger as well. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah, that's better. Thanks.
I'm going to refresh that because now it'll show 4 of them. I have to log in again. I couldn't live without 1Password.
That's for sure.
I look at people typing in their passwords and stuff, and I go, you know, there's a thing that, you know. I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life, but you know, this would be really cool. So anyways, you know, this shows you actually all the ones that you have. And then it gives you a rundown of everything that's in there, right? You can actually go in and see the data that's in the public. You can see what's in there. There's varying zones, which you can create and so forth like that. Okay? I believe that...
What does that mean, zones? What are zones?
You can split. I don't know a lot about this, so I'm going to wing it a little bit, okay? But you can split the data into zones. It might be for sharing purposes, or it might be for geographical purposes.
Are there other options in there, or is it just that the default?
Mine is set up just to use the default right now. So I haven't gone into this or really researched it at all. One of the things that a lot of people don't recognize right off the bat is, particularly when you're dealing with other countries have some very strong legal requirements in terms of where the data can be stored. And so sometimes, particularly in the EU doesn't want data stored in the US. And as a matter of fact, I'm a Canadian, and many Canadians don't like information being stored in the US either, because all data in the US is available to the US government because of the laws that were created following 9/11. So I do a lot of work in healthcare, and people were trying to set up healthcare data repositories, and we always had to make sure that the data center was actually located in Canada, because if it was in the US government actually had access to all of the data. So that might be part of what it is from. So there's the zone list. You can do records. I believe that you can define record types right here. Yes, you can create new type. So you could create a record type here. You could do all of your data design here, and then just, you know, not worry about it. The examples that I saw, they simply created the record types on the fly. And so by setting up a bunch of name value pairs, almost like a hash, which had, you know, the field names and then the values, and then just sending it to CloudKit, that created the record type. So you know, in my example, I was going to use a mileage log that had a date, a start, and a finish. And then you'd send that up to CloudKit, and it would create a mileage log that had a date and a start and a finish. So you can also, you create indexes on them and stuff like that, so you can actually add additional pieces. So the management of it is actually relatively reasonable. The record types are changeable in development, but once you get to production, they get locked down once you move it up to production, which kind of makes sense. I'm not sure how they handle versioning. Versioning was a big thing in core data when you needed to change the database. I haven't seen anything about versioning with CloudKit data. So, you know, that's all I know about it. I have my GitHub repository up. You can see it here. Like I said, I'll provide the URL to Andrew so he can get it posted. And anything that I can put up in there, however far we get, however much further I do get, will be good. Anyways, over to the application. I'm going to see if I can make this bigger too. No, that's not working. Plan B.
You can totally do that in RubyMine, because I had to figure it out for my workshop at RailsConf.
Did you get it to go bigger? How?
You've got to open preferences and look for font. And
okay. You got to change your font sizes. Okay.
Yeah.
I was using RubyMine because it was a little bit easier for me, but I can go into Sublime.
Yeah.
And do it there.
All right, we're back.
We're back.
Oh, sorry, I didn't notice you guys had gone.
Yeah, it was just a few minutes. Let's see.
There. Go back.
Back up just a few minutes to explain what we missed.
Okay.
The last thing we heard was you talking about the setting up indices in the CloudKit.
Okay. Yeah. No, there wasn't much. It was so you know, this interface. You get to this interface. You can get to it from Xcode. When you push the button, CloudKit dashboard, that's what takes you to the web interface. I'm not sure if it logs you in. You do have to be logged in with your Apple developer account into Xcode in order to set up CloudKit. It's part of the thing that you need to do. This I know works. Is that okay for size?
Yeah.
Okay. So the base rake file for it, and actually, like, I haven't done anything much with the app. It's just a simple app which has one table view controller and then the ability to add things. I'll do a quick build just so that you can see that.
So to get to this point, you generated a new RubyMotion iOS app.
Yeah.
You set up a table view controller.
Yeah, once it builds, I haven't built it on this computer yet. I was building it on my laptop, and I just moved this over to my desktop. It'll take a second for the simulator to start up. More than a second. I'm not running a Mac Pro, even the trash can model. It's a Mac Mini. So really simple, okay? Hit the add button. And save it. And there we go. Simple as simple can be, right? Okay. Just going to exit out of that. Okay, so some very simple stuff. So with doing the research on it, what I was looking at doing was adding the entitlements.
Because that's how you set up which database or which cloud
yes.
database.
Yeah, that should be where you're going to and what you're doing. And then you also have to add in the framework, right? So I figured that this would be fairly straightforward, right? I looked up, I haven't done anything with entitlements before, but it seemed to be fairly straightforward. I'm going to do it with a hard-coded string. So and I think that this is in the dashboard.
Is that right?
Knowledge.
Software?
Thank you. Nice catch, Lori. Thank you. And then the other entitlement which was iCloud. Let me verify this. Services. And this should be real simple. Okay. Save that and just did a test compile just to make sure that everything, the test compile in the right window. This is a little bit small, but just gives us a little bit more stuff to see on the screen as things are flying by, if we need to see them. So far, so good, right? So that still seems to work just fine. I don't have, you know, the finish is higher than the start or anything like that. That's, yeah, none of that's in there. very, very bare application. Okay, very bare. So the next thing that I went off to investigate doing was, okay, now that I've got that, let's get CloudKit going here. So I need a container. So that's a sorry, I'm checking something on another screen here. Ooh. Okay. And then you need the database, which should be the container. And then I just added that in. Now, of course, there's some caveats here and everything. You have to be set up and configured on the simulator to allow your iCloud access and so forth like that, all that sort of stuff. But I figured I'd just run this and see what happened with it. And this is where I hit my problem. And it's involving the entitlements.
Are you calling the DE anywhere in there?
No. No, I wasn't doing anything with the DB yet. As you can see, it died here, and it gives me a very specific reason.
Here, please.
Wait. We'll use the first one.
Nope.
Name error.
CK container.
Delegate 8, sorry. Let me make sure I got that right. Container dot public cloud database.
No, it was the CK container. It was the line 8 that it was dying on.
Oh yes, you're sorry. Thank you. CK container dot default container.
Is there a framework or something that?
Thank you. Thank you. Forgot to add that.
Can you increase the font size of your terminal a little bit so we can see it?
Boom. There we go.
Impediment.
And this is where I hit my problem. So I'm missing the entitlement iCloud services. And I'm looking at my stuff and I'm going, no, I'm not. And this is one of those areas where I could use anyone's help on the screen if they have anything to recommend, because this looks like I've done this correctly as far as I can see.
What's the error? Can you go back to the error?
I'll go back to the error. CK exception. Reason: the application is missing required entitlement. com.apple.developer.icloud-services.
Yeah.
Did you try com.apple.developer.iCloud services.
No, actually, I hadn't.
You can also figure out what RubyMotion is creating if you do rate config.
Sorry, go ahead.
Rate config.
Entitlements.
Entitlements. There you go.
So yeah, I would say try to com.apple.
Okay. I think that's all that there is in there. Sorry, I'll go back to here just to make sure. Com Apple Developer. Yeah, iCloud Services. I didn't include it, of course, because here it seems to be okay. But
Maybe the order doesn't matter, does it? I wouldn't think so.
Oh, but it's a different error now.
So that did it. Thank you. Com.yourcompany milage CloudKit failed.
Unspecified.
I'm wondering if it's the same thing for the other one. Identifier,
Increase your font size just a little bit more.
Sure. It's using the identifier. I set the name of the app to be the same as what it was because, you know, even though my directory is named slightly differently, all lowercase with a dash, when I created the CloudKit repository, it didn't seem to like the dash in the name. So I removed it and put in the camel casing.
Yeah, but that whole your company is.
Yeah, it's taking the identifier to do that instead of taking what's in the iCloud container identifier.
So.
Which means that either this one needs to have, so let me do the rate config again.
Does your container have to be associated with an app?
No, not as far as I can tell. Interestingly enough, even though the iCloud services was prefixed, the entitlements here seem to have stripped it off almost. I'm going to try prefixing on the container identifier. That did it.
Oh, that.
Lesson learned, right? So that would have opened it up. So the entitlements need to have the full piece for it in order for it to be effective. So I will include that in my notes.
add an element, or if you add in some mileage there, does it? You have to sort of set up the data types or something in CloudKit.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear all of that.
If you to the simulator and adds some mileage in there, does it save it to CloudKit now? Is it just that magic, or do you have to?
No, you actually have to invoke a save to get the save to work. And I was hoping that I would have the code in that would actually, so that I could move it in, so that I could walk through the stages of, you know, here's where it is, and whenever I add one, I'll just pull it in, and then when I start up, I'll retrieve everything from the cloud to populate, and just do a simple, you know, retrieve everything, and then as you hit adds, just push them up to the cloud as well, so that we could see them in the simulator. So unfortunately, because of those issues, I didn't get that far. Sorry, guys.
Well, we can figure it out.
Yes. and that's part of the with doing this. So by putting this together and you know, we could go a little bit further tonight if we wanted to, or you know, we could turn it over to try some of the other things if you wanted, Andrew. I'll leave it open for you. But what I can do is next time when we come back, are we going to meet again in July? Andrew?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we've second Wednesday in July that would be when our next.
Okay. So one of the things that I could do is I can go away, get the thing fully working, come back and do a very quick presentation of, you know, here's what it looks like now with the working, and here's all the pieces that I did. And then, you know, we'll have the public repository up so that people can use that as a reference, which was the ultimate idea that I had with this. I had to put up a README that explained the steps and walk through it a little bit, so to give you sort of the rundown that I gave on screen here, you know, about how you create it, what you need to look for, how you can create it online, how you need to name things, and so forth like that. But I don't have all the stuff off the top of my head, but the storage is as simple as creating a record, which I think that you do off of the DB. And I'm blanking on the method call. Sorry. I had it here.
It's okay. What step would you take to look up that information?
You do a call against the DB container, and you can actually formulate queries using the same query syntax that you use either for core data or for you know, general searches in Spotlight. You know, the whole query stuff. One of the things that you need to do is to support the queries. You need to build your indices. So, for instance, if you're indexing by, in my case, because I have date, I might index by date as one of the main fields. And so then I could do a date query for, you know, all the records greater than, you know, a month ago or something like that. And I'll try to throw that in so that I can add a query at the top of the app. So I'll add a query thing so that, you know, date greater than, so you can just look up the entries greater than a certain date. And once you get the record, I think it's record with name. I'm not sure it's going to give me any help on this. One of the nice things about RubyMotion is that, you know, it gives you all the CloudKit stuff. I go pull it up quickly in the CloudKit piece, but you simply do record with like this. And the basic types that you're allowed to use are the same as the core data types. Sorry, not identical, but strings, floats, doubles, dates. I'm trying to think of what else. I don't think there was anything else. You can also do relationships like you can in core data, so you can have records relating to other ones. That's a little bit funkier to set up, funkier even than core data. But yeah, that's exactly how it works. So it may be an NS number as opposed to a pure float.
Oh, that's because I didn't. I'm not connected to the Apple TV anymore.
So you retrieve a record. You need to get the record's IDs. Normally, people are generating UUIDs for them to generate unique numbers. If you have access to the to Ben Sherman's screencasts, his stuff on CloudKit actually walks through quite a bit of things for doing sharing and stuff like that. And actually, I just saw something on there was a quick tutorial on Ray Wenderlich's site as well, which was available. So it wasn't behind the paywall. It was a text tutorial, one of the ones that he goes through, something like that. And that's about all I have for right now. And
So, is it possible to go into the CloudKit container dashboard thing? Because from there, create like record types and things like that. I mean, we could kind of just poke around at that a little bit.
Oh, sure.
We find it there. Okay.
So here's all the types. Int double. You can store locations, which is kind of cool, right? So you get the location from the location manager. Bytes string, which is a list. Reference a list, the date time, so they have list versions of them as well, which is kind of handy. So that you don't have to fully normalize your database if you don't want to.
It looks like on the left side you name your. Looks like it gives you a user's default, a user's type by default.
Yeah.
What's a double?
Double precision.
What's that?
So I think it's kind of like a float.
Oh.
Yeah, from my old C days, you had float, then you had double. So the double was generally a quad word. Quad words. Floats were like a word or a double word, and no, maybe yeah. It depended on the compiler and the architecture. Sorry.
It's a 64-bit floating point, so which is all you get now.
Yeah.
They're all 64-bit. No more of this crappy 16 and 32-bit stuff.
Types. Defaults, new record type. There we go. Typing. So then what you can do is, let me see, create new record.
Ah.
chugging.
Private database, maybe you have to, it has to be in the public section or something like that.
Looks like maybe it's just loading.
There we go.
No.
Sorry? I didn't quite. Oh, sorry. Were you saying that this needs to be in the public database? There we go. I'm not sure where default types users. If I go to this one.
Oh,
But,
wait. In
There's
the
a
bottom,
button down.
say create, maybe.
Sorry?
In the bottom right, it says like create. What is that?
Ta-da!
There you go.
There we go. Yeah, I didn't experiment with this one.
Try closing that little.
Doesn't seem to be doing. Yeah, just hit cancel. Try it again. Ah,
Ta-da!
There we go.
Hey, look at that.
yes. Yeah, so 06/ so what, the 13th? 14th. So then you can, I think, query on it. Query records. Enable the queryable. Add index, date, save record type. And then if I go back here, hit query records, field record name is not marked. Enable queryable index on this. Indexes, add index.
Oh, you gotta press the button again.
Yeah.
Bad UX. Just saying.
Yeah.
Well,
If you can make the same mistake twice, there's a definite cognitive problem with that user experience.
And I can hit this one and close it off.
there's something.
Yep. Right, so now theoretically, what I could do
Yeah,
is
that record.
I could pull that record back from the database and then populate it into my.
UID.
Yeah, so maybe we could just try real quick to see what the process is for connecting side. So we have some data in there now, and just see if we can like pull, like all records for a certain container.
Yeah, let me. Yeah, I have to update my dash.
So I think we cut out right around the time you were telling us where you get your information on this kind of stuff.
Sorry, I went to dash to query on the database objects.
Yeah.
Fetch record
Dash
with
is
ID.
a
Dash.
documentation app.
Yeah. He's the guy that there was this big thing about in the App Store where Apple accused him of falsifying his something or other. There was some fraud involved, and so they pulled his stuff from the App Store, and they got into a big kerfluffle. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
Fetch all.
Fetch all records with completion handler. DB fetch all records zone. Okay, zones. CK record zone objects. So we did db dot there's a certain amount of lag as I'm typing.
I saw your comment, Amir, about asking anything. Are you saying you want to take a break now to?
Sorry, Andrew, do you want me to take a break at the moment?
I just didn't know how long Amir was going to be available.
Ah. Should we swap over to?
There we go.
Yeah, I wouldn't bring in my dog. He's bigger than me. He's not allowed to sit on our lap. Well, no, he's not quite that large. He's a German Shepherd. Shall I switch over? Do you want to take the screen sharing back, Andrew, or should I just halt it on my end?
What I've done is I've made Amir's video the one that we're broadcasting right now. Amir, if you I don't know if you're on mute or not, but
I'm not. I just figured that we could have a puppy dancing for a little bit.
There. Here's one of mine.
Oh, hello. You got a Shih Tzu, and what
I
is
don't have
that?
any answers around you.
He's a rescue dog. He's like poodle something.
He's a mixed.
He's
This
a
thing is
mutt.
disgusting, by the way. It's stupid. Yeah, I just wanted to be available for any questions you might have. As far as status updates and everything, iOS 11 is of course around the corner, and Xcode 9. So I want to make sure that takes top priority. And once we're in GM for Xcode 9 and all the goodness there, and got updates going, I can start work on some more of the more interesting things that I want to do. So there's a gem out there called Motion Steward, and again, just doing a lot of thinking about kind of what I want to do in general, and I think across the board we're in the age of bring your own language with regards to really any platform or OS. So you've got C#, you've got Ruby. I think people are actually building iOS apps and mobile apps in Haskell now. So the ridiculous amount of options with regards to your language choice and what you can bring to the platform has kind of become the status quo. So with regards to RubyMotion being a differentiator, I want to make sure the business acumen that I've gained across the years gets captured in with regards to like the streamlined aspects of building a RubyMotion app. So how do you do alerts? How do you do navigation? How do you have high conversion rates on your reviews? How do you present rewarded apps, interstitials, call to actions to do in-app purchases, subscriptions, et cetera, et cetera. There is really only one right way to do those things. And just a bunch of trial and error on my part, and of course, the close-knit communities that I've been part of with regards to monetization, live ops, and all that other good stuff. Really, there's only very few tried and true ways of how you do those kind of things. So as far as a RubyMotion being a differentiator, that's one key thing that I think I'm going to try to emphasize again after all the iOS 11 and then Xcode 9 stuff comes into play. And another aspect of it is the premise about, so you have two groups of people. You have the group of people that want to build apps and monetize them and deploy cross-platform and potentially make some money in the App Store. You have the other group of people that want a mean time to market as quickly as possible. They have a responsive website. They want to get it out there with little to no effort and get some more reach with regards to their user base. So those are the two types of people that I'm trying to cater to, again, from a business acumen standpoint. So as far as you know, as far as how that is codified, most of that's in Motion Steward. You've already seen kind of like the research stuff that I was doing with regards to metrics in the App Store, all that good stuff, profiling with regards to like are your provisioning profile set up, and then I'm going to expand on that by providing, again, more things around conversion rates and monetization, or guidance around things like push notification, and some of those other nuanced aspects. Single sign-on with regards to like Google sign-on versus iCloud, persistent user IDs across installs. So if you uninstall the app and reinstall, what does that look like? Registration flows or lack thereof when you install an app, and how to integrate that to an existing application, and a bunch of those other things. So that's kind of high level with regards to what does RubyMotion bring to the table, and that's the general narrative that's going to be pushed forward after, again, all the Xcode 9 and iOS 11 stuff. But anyways, that's kind of really all I wanted to say. You can try like some of the alpha stuff that I'm doing right now with Motion Steward. Again, it's not about a brand new framework or anything. It's just about codifying what I already know about iOS, what the RubyMotion community knows about mobile development in general, and then providing a means for those two scenarios. One scenario being the person that wants to monetize their apps, and the other one being a company that has some responsive website and then wants to get an app out there and potentially extend their user base without a lot of investment up front. What do y'all think? So I got a question. Let's see. I'm just making sure Amir's the new head of the RubyMotion project, right? Yes, I am the CEO / principal / et cetera, et cetera. I like the term steward as opposed to anything else, mostly because you know, I'm here to help y'all be successful, right? So cater to y'all, cater to your journey with RubyMotion, either on or off it. I'm here to help y'all out. But yes, I am the owner / CEO, and again, prefer the term steward. You know, like a ship steward person, concierge, whatever you'd like to call me. But yeah, I'm that thing. So Amir's the new head of RM Project Ride. I'm a bit behind on the news. Question: for when you have a break, so when you mean one right way to do things, specifically a convention-based approach with proper Ruby-based set of classes, frameworks to do something common things. So yeah, like an example of common things would be how do you ask for a review? There's a right way to ask for a review, and then there's every other thing that's out there right now. And there are so many different options with regards to, oh, you can ask for a review, and here's this snazzy framework that will do you know, notifications, and then it will ask you later, and then after 30 minutes they'll ask you again, and like all those variations. So there are tried and true techniques that are independent of the framework that lead to really high review conversion rates. So like industry average for review conversion rates is maybe like on the high end it's about 2.3%, So if you have a 2.3% conversion rate on reviews, that's like phenomenal. But yes, so these ideas are, some of them might be frameworks, and some of them might be just overall general guidance of this is how you do reviews, this is how you do notifications, this is how you do login flows, and here is an example of a login flow. Maybe it might be a reference implementation that I put up there that show you some of those things. So that's kind of so unfortunately it depends on what it is. For like a unified way to get user IDs, I'll probably have a framework that I flesh out. When it comes to reviews and interstitials, some of it is subjective, some of it is this is how you do it this way or you'll fail miserably kind of thing. But and those techniques can be applied outside of RubyMotion, but of course there'll be flows or some form of maybe rake task or something that makes it really easy to do it with RubyMotion. So yeah, some of the convention-based approach. Another example that I push really hard for is this infinite scroll. I hate infinite scroll with a passion. Pagination is a much better way of doing things. So if you look at the Feedly app, that is how you should do login flows. So yeah, access to location, context. That's another great example. There's a right way to do it, and then there's a wrong way to do it. And from my perspective, I've just gotten a lot of wisdom from the guys that done Monument Valley, the guy that built Blackbox. He just recently got the Apple Design Award for 2017. He won that. So you have Things 3 that just recently came out, and so there's a lot of the News app for Apple has done good things and bad things. So there's just a lot of curated approaches to what is considered a nice experience for the application and what isn't. And my general goal is to codify that either in some form of guidance or framework. And then when it comes time to build your app, you don't have to worry about these things. Use this control. Use this way. I know there's a billion ways to do it, but this is how you do validation. This is how you do scrolling. This is how you do presentation for consumption. This is how you do navigation. Do not deviate, or if you deviate, you're gonna be on your own from that perspective. Does that kind of make sense or help clarify?
Yeah, it does. Is this a lot of feedback? I didn't want to do the mic, but I think that answers the question for me.
Yeah, cool. So any other questions? So again, while I wait for other questions, and I'm sure after this is recorded, we might have more questions in the Slack that I'll answer. Obviously, I want to be present as much as I can be. Like I'm here and I'm in the Slack channel and everything's wonderful and things are moving forward. So I just, again, don't want y'all to worry about that stuff. So the other aspect of it, as far as like the current RubyMotion community, we're pretty much a bunch of experts that understand iOS as a whole. So it's not a challenge, but the general ecosystem, the general landscape is like that. You have a bunch of people inside of the RubyMotion community that just know what they're doing because we've been doing mobile development for so long. And then you have people that have a Rails app or have used Ruby, are familiar with Ruby, have never done a lick of mobile development, and they have no idea how to get started, right? So it's about helping, as far as what happens after iOS 11 and Xcode 9, from my perspective, it's about helping those people find the right story that works for them with regards to acclimating to mobile development and moving forward with it. So I know there's a general fragmentation with RubyMotion frameworks. Is Flow going to be a thing? What about the existing RubyMotion frameworks? The best thing I'm going to say there is that a part of me says y'all don't need the help. I mean, the CocoaPods that work really well. The RubyMotion wrappers that work really well, and the ones that are being used right now are being used in production. So I got the survey back, and it's like, yep, the ones that keep getting recommended are actually being used. So with regards to like whether they're dead or not, if you have any questions about that, reach out to me in Slack and say, hey, should I use this or should I not use this? More often than not, there's always a backing CocoaPod framework or Objective-C based framework that exists where the RubyMotion was just a wrapper. So there's always a escape hatch for y'all to use with. So again, I'm not saying that I'm putting y'all by the wayside. I'm just not worried about y'all or the current RubyMotion community, because again, it's like we've been here for so damn long. I mean, we have a Stockholm syndrome with regards to iOS APIs, UIKit et al. And it's no longer scary for us. So from that perspective, I guess continue having the conversation. We'll see what kind of shuffles out from that perspective.
Amir, two things, if I might.
Yeah, definitely.
One, what is the process for like some of the build tools, like the rake files and stuff like that? Is that completely open sourced? If we had a fork that we needed to submit, can we get in and do something? I have one bugaboo in there. It's the fact that when you do the motion create, if the directory already exists, it doesn't like it.
Yes. So there's everything inside of if you go to /library/RubyMotion, that directory that's inside of your of your root.
Yeah.
Pretty much every Ruby file in there is open source, and there's actually a RubyMotion repo that has that, and we can merge those things in. The thing that's closed source is basically the .ob, basically the .o, the C files, RubyMotion.age et al. That's where the LLVM infrastructure and all that stuff comes into play. So go for it.
My flow has always been to build the GitHub repository first, clone it, and then do the create. That's what I do with all my Rails apps, and that works fine. And every time I do it with RubyMotion, it's like, damn.
Yeah. So I mean, as far as like trying it for yourself, you might just want to put the Git sub module in it, or put the Git repo inside the library directory and try to pull it from there.
Okay.
And there's some little shenanigans that we can do if you need help with it.
Yeah, and then just a pull request if I get something working and okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
That's the good part, right?
That's second point, which is something that I've been thinking about, because you see, I've got from my first Inspect T-shirt. You weren't at that one, were you?
No, I wasn't.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's the only one I made it to. Longer term, probably around next year at this time, is there any thought that we might see about doing some kind of a get-together?
We'd have to see. So I'll have a better answer by, let's see. Ask me again. What is 18 months from April? So ask me again around this time, this time next year. So I'll put a note on my thing at the end of Q1, 2018.
Okay.
We'll look at it again.
Okay. I mean, off the top of my head, it seems like we have a community centered in Portland, and it might make the most sense. Neither Lori nor I are far from Portland. Thumbs up, but if we go to Portland, we might be looking for you guys to set up the venues. So, and Amir, I think you're in Texas, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I apologize for all the shenanigans Texas pulls off sometimes. So please forgive Texas for that. But yeah, I'm in Texas.
Lori and I are in Alberta, which is Texas of the North. So.
All right, so Ahad's got another question. So I'm one of the new guys. It seems difficult to jump into RubyMotion with no background in iOS. Specifically, is there going to be, beyond the examples provided by the RubyMotion project side, official guidance about how to use those frameworks or the wrappers, et cetera, more of an RTM type of situation, Dallas rules? Yes, Dallas rules. I like Dallas. I kind of like to call it the eye of the hurricane. So like pretty much everything here feels normal. It feels like East Coast, West Coast, and it's just don't leave Dallas or Austin or Houston, and you'll be fine. But yeah, with regards to RubyMotion, again, I keep circling back to Motion Steward, but the premise there is that Motion Steward is going to be that entry point for for those developers that aren't familiar with how to do iOS development or mobile development. So basically, I'm trying to get it to the point and to where you can provide me with the motion steward command. You can provide me a URL to a responsive web application and an email address, and you run the motion steward command with those two options, and you'll get a test flight. You'll get a test flight build of a wrapped website that has that specifically points to that URL. So that's my final goal with regards to what Motion Steward will do. And the premise there is that once someone gets that wrapped website, they'll go, okay, well, that's cool. Let me use Motion Steward to upload a 1024 by 1024 icon, and then I'll resize that icon for iOS and Android, and then you'll get, again, a wrapped website using Hotkey and TestFlight, so you can see the app actually working on your phone. And then the next step is, if you give me a developer cert, I will actually deploy the app for you to the App Store. So the premise, again, is you don't have Xcode installed, you don't have anything installed on your computer, except for Ruby. You provide me this information, and then I do the builds behind the scenes, set all that up for you, and deploy to the App Store for you. It's theoretically possible, but that is generally the end goal, and I'm backing into it. So that's for the complete beginner, and so the premise is eventually you'll outgrow that. So then you'll be able to download the repository that was generated for you and then build upon it from there. And so that's kind of to go native, yes. So basically there'll be means to intercept basically href clicks or click events on like the wrapped app, and then have native flows again that are built in, or you can roll your own. But that's the general pie in the sky goal. Again, after all the Xcode and iOS stuff gets done. Thoughts on that? So again, the premise here is that you've got the people that have a responsive app that just want to get an app out there. The next step would be, okay, we have an app out there, now let's add push notification. So having all the administrative abilities to just have an it just works push notification setup would be great. The next step would be, okay, well, if they use the iOS app or Google app, Android app, I don't want them to have to log in, because technically I have a unique user ID that I can use across installations. So why have a registration process when I can just have maybe like a JSON Web Token or some variant of that to allow them to log in. So basically, it lets someone see what kind of activity they have in the mobile ecosystem, and then grow the product without investing. Oh god, I got to learn all this other Objective-C, CocoaPods, entire tool chain just to get an app out there, and I want to alleviate that.
I think there's a lot of similarities to the new TurboLinks approach. Yeah,
and it's good, and it's good to have that. So the premise, the interesting aspect of the TurboLinks, and some of the integration that we could potentially have with Steward. Again, that's the running name, but the Steward apps, along with Rails, is that you could potentially have no ops on the page, like little markers that are inside of your Rails app, and from there I can do things inside of the mobile app. So you might have a marker on a web page saying that save this to isolated storage, right? And that's just on the web page. So then when I pull the web page through the wrapped browser, I can say, I see the marker to save something to isolated storage. Let me put that input value into isolated storage for you. And so those kind of things make it seamless on the web if you're using it just as a web application. But the moment it's fired up within Steward or your wrapped mobile app, suddenly you're getting some almost ancillary connectivity to your mobile device without actually having to write any of the native stuff. Other examples might be like uploading files, where I handle the flow on the native side for photos and pictures and stuff, and manage the upload of the file for you, to where your mobile app, they click the upload button, but it actually does a native flow for you from that perspective. So different variations of that would be interesting to see, interesting to pull off. But that's again the general premise behind some of those things, or what I want to do with trying to onboard people that are kind of new to mobile development. Any thoughts? Yes, that sounds epic. Cool. And again, the source code is out there, what I have so far. So I've got, if you look at any of my repos, you can kind of see what I'm playing around with. I can put those links if anyone's really interested. But I basically have a budgeting app, which does some of these interesting layouts, and I have my color golf application, and then I have Motion Steward. So those three things are my points of exploration, I guess. And as they get more solidified, of course, I'll be posting to the Slack channel.
So I've got a question that's not related to this topic.
Yeah,
And that was curious if you watched any of the WWDC presentations.
Oh, you broke up a little bit. What happened? WWDC what?
Yeah, did you see any of the WWDC presentations?
I did catch up on some of them, not all of them. The cool things that I'm specifically interested in is the multiple simulators. Being able to spin off a lot of simulators at the same time makes me very, very happy. So that's gonna be lots of fun to be able to get that working. But as far as the underlying stuff, the mechanics and the machinery of Xcode and what compilation changes and compiler changes they've done underneath the scenes, that's obviously more relevant to the work that we have to do to make sure RubyMotion stays up to date. But most of that stuff obviously doesn't get covered, right? If they change CLang or LLVM conversions or some of the other bindings, or how they change project structures and whatnot. So those are the things that are, again, not things that you have to worry about. That's my job, to make sure those things happen. It's going to be cool to see what we can pull off from the tooling standpoint.
Yeah, was there anything that stood out to you that seemed like you wanted to steal for RubyMotion, or might be challenging?
The cool thing is that anything simulator rated we get for free, right? RubyMotion is just going to get anything OS 10 related, or OS high, what they call it, high Sierra, right?
Yeah.
So basically we get all that for free. So if it works in Xcode, if it works on that, it's done. So I don't think there's anything that you're excited about will be there, as far as that stuff is concerned. So at a minimum, it will be on par with what's in Xcode. I'm thinking about taking the tool chain and making it easier for some of the cooler things. But I have some catching up to do this weekend also with regards to the other presentations. Was there something specific that you felt or you hope, any brilliant ideas that you have that you would want to see incorporated into RubyMotion? I'm putting you on the spot.
I watched a few videos. I can't remember. I feel like there was something that stood out to me. I thought, oh, I wonder what Amir's going to think about this. But now I can't remember what it was.
You're disappointing me, man. Just kidding. You are disappointing me. Lulu is disappointed at you. Lulu's disappointed. Are we got any other questions? Questions, concerns, comments, et cetera, et cetera?
I have a comment that something I've been working on, and it's just like, well, this is stupid. I shouldn't keep it to myself. I should let you guys know. So I want to set up a RubyMotion school, an online teachable.com school with actual little mini courses that people can take to
Okay.
get up to speed on stuff. So I'm in the process of going through and setting up a Teachable school. And then if anybody wants to participate, be an affiliate, come in as a teacher and put your own classes in there, then, you know, you get any, you know, if there's dollars involved, you get money from that. And the platform that I chose actually handles all that, so I don't have to.
Cool.
Anyway, so if anybody's interested in that, let me know. And once I get it all set up, hopefully before I go on vacation next Thursday, I will send you guys a link, and I'm hoping to have basically the workshop that I did at RailsConf. I'm doing that as my first sort of trial balloon free class as a bit of a lead magnet to get people to come in and sign up.
Just general feedback, or at least a lot of the contact form emails I get are, again, people that have Rails apps. They're like, I have a Rails app. What can I do? And so just maybe having some, again, one of those like 5-minute courses, like, you know, how easy is it to just take your responsive Rails app and wrap it, right? With a very simple native flow, maybe native navigation. So when they click on an href, instead of it going to that page, it does a navigation stack push and then goes to that URL, right? To make it look like a more native transition. I think just even a minimum thing like that would be something that would be extremely helpful to people.
Cool. And to you, so you wouldn't have to tell people how to do it.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. This is my other stupid dog. She's really dumb too, but it's okay. She cries a lot. She's the weirdest dog you will ever see in your entire life. I promise you. Cool. But yeah, that's generally having something where I can just point someone to, like, this is the value prop if you're a Rails shop that wants to do mobile, and this is why RubyMotion would be the better choice for you all.
Cool. I can do that.
Any other thoughts, questions, comments? And again, if this shows up on Slack, you know, just at me and I'll be happy to answer any questions y'all may have.
Earlier survey, did you ever post the results for that?
I haven't posted the results. I'll go ahead and I'll post that. I can. I'll make sure to do that. I'll make sure to do that this weekend, tentatively. But I'll post that somewhere. At least I'll drop the Excel document inside of. I want to obviously obfuscate, you know, the people that responded, and just get kind of the important gem files out of there. But at a minimum, I'll put a file inside of the Slack channel for y'all to download and take a look at. Does that sound good? And then from there, we can have dialogues about what does all this mean? You know, what gems should we continue to use, or whatnot, right? Anything else?
So as far as like gems and kind of best, you know, the sort of the one right way to do something, would be that eventually the gems that are like, this is the one that incorporating to RubyMotion is somehow maintained by.
Yeah, so we're again, that'll be something that I'll probably have a better answer for starting next year, with regards to gems that will be part of the SLA with the subscription. For right now, it's just a matter of curating the right CocoaPod gems, the right Objective-C gems, and the Ruby gems. And RubyMotion Motion Steward, that gem that I'm building, is going to be at least the gateway to pointing you in the right direction. So even if some gems get deprecated or new gems come up, Motion Steward will at least give you the current new hotness, whatever that might be. So I think that's probably the best answer I have right now.
Cool, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Of the gems that you're looking at, Amir, I just guess I'm wondering about my personal favorite, which is MotionKit. Is that figuring in there, or is that?
I think let me put the survey results out so we can kind of see who else is using MotionKit. I do remember. I think I remember that gem being in there. So I think that'll be easier to have that conversation once everyone can see the survey results. But again, from my perspective, that whole stewardship aspect. If you want to use MotionKit, use MotionKit. I will do everything in my power to make sure that you continue to be happy using MotionKit. Right?
That concept, almost like the Rails concept, where the DHH revisited there's one true way to do it with the. Well, if you don't want to use Active Record, then, go and use whatever persistence model that you want. It's just that Active Record is the default, and it'll come in. If you want to use something else, then you configure it differently. That approach really is helpful. Now, of course, we're a small community, and focusing on one set of things,
right?
And that's what I'm looking at. I mean, I like MotionKit. It helps me structure things in a way that speaks to me personally and how I use things, but that doesn't necessarily mean, like, I don't know, there's not a lot of activity on it, and it's always going to be a Cocoa only thing. There was talk about doing Android, but it's not going to happen. And so it might be that I need to throw my effort in behind, whatever you're doing with Flow and so forth like that.
Right. So I totally get the fragmentation part of it, especially with being a small community. We want to, the last thing we want is to have 10 different ways to do something. There's just companies out there that have 20,000 line code bases that use Gem X, right? And there's no way they're going to move off of it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want to ostracize those specific gems. As far as Flow and kind of the funnest parts of using Flow, or the most enjoyable aspects of using Flow for me, have been the rendering, the layout. Everything else feels like there's already escape hatches, or there's already good ways to do HTTP requests, or good ways to do persistent storage, or good ways to do camera. Well, with regards to layout, it is. I wish the Flexbox layout was around then. So the immediate work, or my highest priority work with regards to Flow, would be to incorporate the current yoga changes that have existed, that are currently inside of the Facebook Yoga React layout stuff. So incorporate those things, and at least carve out the UI rendering stuff, and say, here's how you do UI layouts, and everything else is will grow out from there. And as far as the one right way, it's not. Just want to emphasize. And again, this is the whole marketing spiel and the differentiator with RubyMotion, is that there is one right way to request a review. There's one right way to do rewarded ads. There's one right way to ask for a subscription or in-app purchases, or some variation of that, and login flows. How you implement that is up for grabs. But as far as the techniques, there's one that converts extremely well and has been proven to convert extremely well, and then there's everything else, and that's more of a softy, feely, subjective, document guidance thing, and I'll basically have to figure out what gem affords us that with the least amount of work. So parts of gems might be deprecated. But it just depends on what kind of curation we put around it. But I get what you're saying. I don't want
Yeah.
I don't want that kind of thing.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. I you sometimes you have to move. I mean, yeah, even within the Rails community, you know, the way that we've done things or we do things now, if you're converting your app from 4 to 5, you got to add in all the jQuery if you used any jQuery, right? And so it's just a part of the growth and how things move along. And as long as we're not like the JavaScript guys, oh, it's Tuesday, time for a new framework.
Yeah. And that's been my biggest frustration with a lot of the JavaScript stuff out there. Is like, find a repo that's 2 months old and see if you can build it. It's infuriating. But yeah, I mean, and I'm towing both sides because I'm building new apps, and then I have ADR, which existed before you even auto layout. Like, I was building that when iOS 6 came out, and the whole revamp of the skeuomorphic went away, and then it was all flat design. So that's like the layout engine that I have. It is terrifying. But again, this is one of those things where it's like, I have a legacy app, and I have to think about how I'm going to do that myself and that transition. Yeah. So, yeah, it's real world challenges that I am there with you experiencing and moving through. So I think few leaders or few partners of those kind of communities can say they have successful apps, they're in the weeds just like everyone else. And I'm not doing marketing spiels, right? I really want to deliver things that work and that are pleasant across the board. So yeah. Are there specific gems that I should potentially avoid to be marked for standardization, removal, cleanup? Hard to say. Let me do the survey first. Let me get the survey results out this weekend, and then I'll put a note to like kind of highlight gems that it's like I don't know about this one. But short answer, it's going to be parts of gems, right? So like parts of bubble wrap. Like the HTTP stuff, you probably don't want to use, and just use AF motion, or I mean not AF motion, but AF networking. But a lot of the nice device support stuff and that stuff's fine, right? Or JSON serialization, that works great. So it's interesting to just trying to cut it up and figure out what's there and what isn't there. So yeah, I'll get those results out this weekend. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns? And if you want, like, we can make this a habit as far as the user groups, me being present and then being able to answer any questions you all may have. And showing you that progress is happening and that everything's good.
To hear.
Yeah, I mean, it's business as usual. I don't know what else to say. Like, I love the platform. I can't. Every time I say, yeah, I'm going to go to Swift and try it out, I'm like, oh God, no, I'm not doing this ever again. Just a general tool chain, the IDE, it's just so infuriating. And then Android's that much more worse, and it's just not fun. And so yeah.
I spent a decade doing professional Java, and I don't want to go back.
Yeah. It's just not fun.
Yeah, no. Ruby is one of the nicer languages out there, which makes it. I mean, Swift has some oddities. It's close. I think that they could have done better.
Yeah, the interesting aspect with Swift, again, with 2.0 to 3.0 transitions, it's moving fast.
Yeah, I saw that transition, and I was thinking at first of working with it, and I said when they said nothing's going to be compatible, and then you heard all these people that had done things in 2, and then it doesn't compile, and it's like, well, I have weeks and weeks of changes to we're not talking a Rails 4 to Rails 5. I mean, we're talking like a Rails 1 to Rails 4 kind of idea, right? For the
and it's tough.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But anyways.
I appreciate you coming to the meetups. That's
Yeah.
you know, I think everyone else does as well. But yeah, it's great having you here and available. You know, once a month on a check-in. You know, to see you and I mean I see you involved in the Slack all the time, and I mean there's the odd occasion where it takes you a day to jump in on something that's, you know, particular to you,
Right.
where somebody else can't answer. But yeah, it's thanks from me, right?
Yeah, I'm here. Cool. All right, so at least we'll make it a, you know, at least the Q&A thing, at least to have it, and then maybe we can focus it in to be, you know, 20-minute Q&A and whatnot, and try to get some structure around it, and then I expect other people will watch it in the Slack video, and then have follow-up questions for those that can't make it. But it'll be cool to see if more people start coming to the Hangout from that perspective too. Cool. Anything else?
Might be a good time to call it a night.
Cool.
For joining us, and
Thanks for your time.
Yep. See y'all. Thanks for you know, doing this. Over and out.
all right.
Okay.
All right, bye.
Thanks,
Good night,
Andy,
you guys.
for your
Good night.
presentation.
Yes, thanks, Andy.
Oh, you're welcome. sorry it wasn't more, and I'll try to provide an update, and I'll send the links to Andrew and everything like that, so you guys can see it in the repository.
Cool.
I see a question from Ahad. If the previous Hangout sessions are available for review. So we've got a website called RubyMotion.tv. Got all the previous videos posted. I can post a link to that too. All right. Time. Have a good night.
Night, guys.
I know.